Hi, my name is Bryce Teaslow. I'm an athletic trainer with the South Tahoe High School Sports Med program, and this is my project on ankle injury prevention and strengthening. Um, and I did this curriculum with Sebastian Guerrero, the tennis player shown on the left. And this exercise regimen was utilized in rehabbing an ankle injury that he suffered during the 2025 tennis season. And with this, why you should focus. Oh, sorry. Why you should focus on ankle injuries. There are over 1 million ankle sprains annually in the US, with over half of those occurring during sports activities. And 40% of said ankle sprains can lead to chronic instability. And without proper management and rehabilitation, they can be often recurring. And lateral ankle sprains dominate tennis injuries following tennis elbow, also known as lateral epicondylitis. And due to this, tennis players are often um, almost in fear of ankle sprains and ankle injuries, in fear of having those recurring injuries happening to them. Um, and based off that, it's really important to have strong ankle stability and confidence through that. Um, and based off this, common causes and risk factors. I'm going to move myself out of the way here. For ankle injuries are most commonly mechanisms of injury, previous injury history, and environmental factors. And mechanisms of injury can be sudden inward rolling or twisting during sliding, pivoting, and landing. So, sort of like inverting or everting your ankle and injuring those ligaments that way. Through previous injury history, it does increase the likelihood of recurrence by 50 to 70%. And so if you have one ankle sprain, you're more likely to have another. And then another impact is environmental factors. With uneven terrain, improper footwear, and inadequate warm up, athletes are more likely to have these injuries occur to them. And through that, it's quite important to have a consistent warm up and to be effective in that warm up. And so, what happened with Seb Tennis, which is his alias for his tennis blog, which he runs, is what I like to think of as the incident where the injury occurred. As Seb was sliding near the net for a volley, his ankle jammed up and became severely bruised. And this was kind of odd because it wasn't necessarily following most common ankle injuries, where with an ankle sprain you would see more like pain and instability with the ankle. His more or less just became severely bruised and felt very painful to walk on, instead of having that instability and sort of like lack of function that you'd find with an ankle sprain. And so what ended up happening is he got a kissing contusion, which is very similar to a retinaculum impingement, which is contact between the lateral fibula and talus. And if you see on the image right below me, it's almost like a grinding mechanism of injury that causes that inflammation in between the two. And it feels like bone on bone contact, even though you have that spongy layer in between them. And with that, it became severely bruised. It felt almost like having like a severe deep bruise, in that it's just painful to walk on and you don't want to like touch around it. Um, and so that was kind of odd for him because he didn't necessarily know what to do to rehab this. And he ended up using ankle braces and more or less like a slow progression back into activity to rehab this injury. And then I followed it through with my program afterwards to add additional confidence with his ankle. And so, following this return to play progression, you want to start with light movement, gentle jogging and stretching once the athlete is pain free. And you want to avoid bouncing moves, as starting off, they can cause damage to newly developed tissue after healing, and it can cause reoccurring injuries more likely. And then following that, you want to have progressive intensity. So you want to start low and build your way up as your confidence increases and as your ability increases through the exercise. And so gradually building training over weeks for strength and mobility can be very effective in causing injury prevention. And so a good example of this is squat progressions into pistol squats, as you can see on the image below me. With squats, you can have a lot of confidence in your ability to slowly do them over time. and then they have a good progression through that of having increasing repetitions and increasing technique and skill required for different kinds of squats, and it creates this very nice flow through the different stages of squats. So, for instance, with Sebastian, we went from doing two leg normal squats, very like minimally, to doing more of those, to doing single leg pistol squats, which need a lot more technique and ability to do them with the strength involved. For instance, like I don't know if I'd be able to do a pistol squat if you told me to do it just straight up. I'd need more stretching and range of motion perhaps to do it. And then following that, cross training benefits developed balanced like muscle groups, and it allows the athlete to have increased like ankle stability through having strong muscle groups throughout, and having like diverse exercises and technique can add more stability to the entire function of the athlete's like uh, systems as they're moving their legs, as they're moving their whole body. They'll have more confidence and more homogeneity through their confidence and their abilities. And so, following that, footwear and environment, sorry, I'm going to move myself again, is very important in the development of this confidence and ability. Specific sport specific shoes are very important. For instance, they can be tailored to foot type, pronation, and arch height. Tennis, as you can see below, it has a very unique foot or like shoe type. Tennis courts require more grip for quick pivoting and shifting movements, and so you get these soles that have a lot more surface area for the athlete to push off of. And then regular replacement of these shoes can be very important. I know with the tennis season, it's roughly from fall to spring, and so you need almost two shoes for every season, or two pairs rather. And so with that, you want to replace your shoes every 6 months or when the tread or heel wear is evident. And it can be kind of obvious. You'll like see signs of wear and tear in your shoes, and that's when you know, okay, maybe it's time to go get another pair, see what else is out there. And then surface selection. Training on surfaces similar to competition venues are very important. You don't want to be shifting the surface type that athletes are training on, as this can cause unexpected shifts and attitudes within their body, and it can lead to more unexpected injuries. And then using bracing if needed. For instance, Sebastian using ankle braces assisted with his return to play and post-injury recovery. And so using braces can be very encouraging to athletes to get that increased development and progression through the return to play policies for sports. And then following that, footwear and environment can be really important because they allow the athlete to have more confidence in themselves and then to develop more, strictly speaking, like self-confidence in their ability to like prevent injuries. And so I'm going to go back to this slide, but key strengthening exercises for injuries such as SEBS can be squats, which are especially effective at developing strength throughout the lower body and assist with stability confidence through progressions, as I was saying earlier. And then calf raises strengthen your calf muscles, specifically your gastrocnemius and soleus, which are critical for ankle stability and power, for such as like pushing off or doing like quick explosive movements with the legs. And then single leg training is incredible. I know with Sebastian, I was not exactly a nice athletic trainer, and I made him do Bulgarian split squats and other single leg balance exercises to develop unilateral strength that allows him to balance in odd scenarios. With tennis, you have a lot of like hitting the ball in the run and ending up in sort of like these contorted hitting positions where you wouldn't necessarily expect yourself to be pushing off of your lateral ankle while trying to hit the tennis ball and shift your weight forward. So that was a big focus with my development plan. And following this, how Sebastian improved throughout the program. I know with this, he had incredibly enhanced ankle stability. Through the consistent strengthening, Sebastian's ankle stability significantly improved, and this reduced the risk of re-injury and developing balance issues. And it actually increased his overall balance as a whole. It made him like more aware almost of how effective his balance was with his different kind of footwear. And then he had increased explosive power, and the targeted calf and single leg raises led to a noticeable increase in Sebastian's consecutive Bulgarian split squats that he was able to do from 30 to 40, which was a 33% increase in single leg strength, which was honestly incredible for how much we did. And then it also increased his flexibility and comfortable range of motion, which boosted Seb's confidence in his ankle overall. And with this, it was really interesting to see how Sebastian was able to do these sort of like contorted positions and get just that much more range of motion out of his exercises. And so, following this whole program, I'm going to talk about it more at the end. But you want to protect the athlete, strengthen them, and then that will increase their performance and confidence. Having the multifaceted approach of having like a proper warm up, footwear, environment, strengthening, and bracing if needed leads to like more overall development and confidence. And then proper rehabilitation and gradual return reduces chronic instability and recurrent sprains. And then this will all lead to enhanced performance. Strong ankles improve confidence and athletic capability. You're more likely to use your ankles in odd scenarios if you believe that they're going to be strong within that exercise. And so my development plan, all it consisted of was a quick warm-up of 3 to 5 minutes of calf raises, toe and heel walks, and ankle circles. Quick stretching routine of a calf stretch and ankle dorsiflexion stretch where you put the knee against like a wall, and then you have your back leg go as far back as possible while having your foot flat all across the ground with the laces touching the ground. A toe flexor stretch and a toe extensor stretch to increase that balance within the footbed. And then we had a quick exercise routine of roughly 5 minutes. This included single leg balancing with eyes open and then eventually closed as a progression. Resistance band motions of inversion, eversion, and then dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, and inversion, eversion. And then he did lateral hops, which is basically just jumping over a line. It was 2 different types. It was with the legs together, so jumping over a line with having your feet together, and then with them split, so he would like shuffle his feet back and forth over a line. And we do this a lot within the South Tahoe tennis program as a warm-up for the entire team. And then including all that, he did Bulgarian split squats, which is the fun exercise that I made him do. And it was fun for him, fun for me, not for him. They're a little bit more almost painful. You put your back foot up against like a or a stool, and then with your other leg, you're doing single leg squats into that, having your back leg dip into it. And that greatly increases single leg strength, and it's almost putting your whole weight on one leg, and then that alongside pistol squats were the main single leg strengthening exercises. And so with this, the most measurable progress that we saw was the ankle dorsiflexion stretch. He was able to gain a lot more range of motion with that, and therefore length in that. The ankle plantar flexion power and control. He was able to do calf stretches for longer periods of time consecutively, and that therefore increased both his balance and his single leg strength with his calves and his specifically the gastrocnemius and soleus. And then he had a lot more pain-free movements. I know he was having a little bit of a struggle with his lateral ankle, having that bruised. After a while, it became less like evident, and he was able to have more confidence pain-free. And then his overall confidence in his ankle greatly increased. And with that, that's essentially all I have. Remember, protect, strengthen, perform. If your athlete is confident in themselves, they'll be more confident in their play, which will increase their effectivity. And that should be it. Thanks for watching. we just gotta figure out how to turn it off. Curse you, screencast. Hmm. Think it's